Hey guys, Melanie here. Welcome to this week's video. As you can see, it's a change of scenery. We're experiencing some sunshine, so I'm doing this video outside today. Last week we talked about cravings. I talked about how having a craving does not mean that you are failing. It doesn't mean you're not focused. It doesn't mean you should give up. It doesn't mean you're useless. It doesn't mean you're pre-programmed to be fat. Having a craving is a very real thing that happens no matter what your strategy. I shared that insight this week on social media, that whether you're losing weight, gaining weight, whether you're maintaining your weight, whether you're a fat loss or a weight loss strategy, whether you're on paleo or Weight Watchers, no matter what you're doing, even if you're somebody that has never been on a diet before, you're probably not watching this video, but if you are, you will experience cravings when you don't know what triggers them and you don't know how to buffer them. Okay, so this week I'm talking about the things that trigger cravings, and I really believe it's kind of broken down into 5 categories. The categories are foods, smells, situations, routine, and stress and emotion. Okay, so the food element is really, as you probably have already gathered, when you eat something and you're triggered a craving. Craving triggers. So, you know, for me, for example, if I had a slice of pizza, I want the entire pizza. I struggle to just have one slice. Something I work on. Doesn't mean I hide in a hole and never have pizza, because I like pizza, but I very much will experience a craving after I have a slice of pizza. Same with sweets. If I have a few Sour Patch Kids, I want the whole bag. I try to play around with it. You know, it's tough, but I try to play around with it. You may be aware of which foods trigger your cravings. Let me just point this out. Hiding from the food is never a good idea. You cannot live in a hole forever. You cannot hide from the breadbasket. You can't hide from alcohol. You can't hide from chocolate. You can't hide from ice cream. You can't hide from popcorn. All these different, you can see where my head goes with these cravings. You can't hide from these foods forever. You can try and reduce how much you're aware of them. You can try to reduce how many times you have them in front of you, but I really think you have to kind of confront these fears head on. So the second one is smell. Smell is a massive one for me as well. The way I could explain this is you go to the mall and there's like a donut shop, or we have cookies and pretzel places here, and if you walk through the mall, as you get closer to that shop, the smell is intense. There is this huge smell of, vast smell of cookies and sweet foods and baking, and it just smells incredible. And that is a marketing ploy. I've heard that they put it in the vents. I don't know if this is true, it probably is, but I'm always dubious of things like that. But apparently they put this smell through the vents so that it attracts customers. And hey, it works, doesn't it? We all know that. So yeah, that's how smells can trigger cravings, because you'll end up standing in the queue buying a pretzel that you hadn't intended to buy today, but somehow you're there. That's how it happens. The next one I talked about was routine. So routine cravings or routine triggers are things like you come home from work and you do the same thing every day. So it's like a bad habit, basically, an unhealthy bad habit that really isn't actually getting you any healthier. It's not doing you any service. So you come home and you open the cupboard and you stand there looking in the cupboard and you're like, oh, chips, cookies, biscuits, I don't know, whatever it is, and you grab it and you eat it. Or a routine might be that you stand in the kitchen talking to your spouse or partner, having a glass of wine every evening. You know, it's not that you even wanted the wine, it's just that it's routine. So it's really figuring out which routines you have and which habits you are doing habits you are following that are not doing you any service. Situational triggers, those would be things like going to the Cheesecake Factory. You're in a situation where you go to a restaurant and they specialize in one particular food, and you're like, well, I'm here, so I have to have the cheesecake. I'm here, so I have to have it. And you end up eating it, even if you didn't intend to eat it, or even if you didn't want to eat it, but you have it because you have this mindset that I'm never going to get cheesecake again. I might never come back. Now, I've been to Cheesecake Factory once. The cheesecake was alright, let me be honest. I apologise if I'm insulting a ton of people here. We don't have the Cheesecake Factory in this country. Another good example would be Starbucks when they do Frappuccino happy hour. You can see the sun shines out, and I'm fairly certain that Starbucks Frappuccino email is going to come its way soon. But Starbucks Frappuccino happy hour is a very real trigger for a lot of people. You go with a friend from 2 till 5 and you stand in the queue and you order 2 venti, high caloric Frappuccinos with whipped cream, because it's buy one get one half price, or buy one get one free, or however it's worked out. And it's like the same as when you get your free drink on Starbucks app. You go and order a venti and a lot of people will order the most expensive drink just because it's free. Same applies to buffets. You go to a buffet or an all-you-can-eat restaurant and you're piling the food on because it's free. It's a buffet. I have to have it. You don't have to have it. You're choosing to have it. It's a choice. There are other choices other than like just the pastries. You could have some other things as well. You could make it work. That buffet one is a really big thing. And it's something I've been really focused on for the last few years. So yeah, that's situational triggers. And the last one is stress and emotion. Stress and emotion is a huge thing. I talk about it a lot with my clients, talk about it a lot on social media and in my VIP emails. Emotional and stress triggers are things like if you had a bad day at work, if you've had a fight with somebody, or I don't know, something's going on in your life, a situation is happening that you're really bothered about it. It's you kind of feel like your jaw's clenched and you just feel constantly like wound up about it, and then you make poor choices based on that. And you might feel that maybe those two things aren't linked, but they really, really are. So it might be that you come home after a bad day at work and you're just like so exhausted and fed up and you don't want to cook and you're just like, I'm just going to eat chips and salsa all night. And you end up doing it. Now, that could happen. It's very real. But what I would say is then don't beat yourself up the next morning about it. It's a new day. Try and take perspective of the stress or the emotion that's happening. Can you change the impact of the stress or emotion? Can you change the situation? Can you change what's going on? If you can't, you might have to accept it for what it is and move on and not let it impact your choices. This was a huge one for me last year. I spent a lot of last year impacted by stress and emotion. I discovered a lot about myself last year as a mother, and those things impacted my food choices hugely. I realized I was binging a lot of last year, but I was counteracting it with some days where I didn't binge and days where I was working out really hard. So that wasn't the right mindset, but it definitely happened last year. I'm well aware of it, and I'm hold my hands up and say that I was definitely impacted hugely last year by stress and emotion triggers. So hopefully this has been insightful for you. As I said, there's 5 triggers for cravings, or 5 that I certainly think are important to consider, and that is meals, or food, also drinks, smells, situations, routines, and stress and emotion. Okay, so when next time you start to have that craving, consider whether it's triggered by one of those 5 things. Try and address it, confront that fear. We're really scared of cravings, and you don't need to be. You can confront it, you can address it, and you might not have it next time, or next time you might be able to counteract it. You might be aware of what's going on before it happens. So it might save you some calories, might save you some heartache, some stress, some emotion, and I'm sure it'll be well worth it. See you next week.